The boy leading the gorilla was young, very lean, with exceptionally black skin that seemed to curve the light around his bones. The skin of his face was stretched taut by the pointed severity of his cheeks and his flattened nose that was broad and rounded at the tip. There was a wistful gentleness in his face, and effortless grace in the erect way that he held his head. It was not apparent from his stride what he had suffered. Those first few days at the zoo, where he stood crying in front of the gorilla cage, had left no lines of agony on his face. The hour of his deliverance was not forever stamped on his forehead when he had embraced the God that others, his mother, had chosen for him. The boy tugged hard at the rope. They were going over a lump of ground that was half submerged rock. The gorilla stopped abruptly, sniffed resentfully at the boy, and then without further notice, sat down on the ground. The boy pulled on the rope again, but the gorilla did not budge, and instead stretched himself out suddenly and fell asleep. He soon began to snore, which caused the boy to stand over him and look wonderingly into his open mouth. It was a deep pink and rose inside, trimmed in black, like a pretty cave. His big, swooping teeth were like yellowed icicles and rusty stalagmites. There was a sturdy bush nearby to which the boy fastened the end of the rope, looking back momentarily at the open mouth. Then he raked together leaves and grass and branches to make the place where they would spend the night more comfortable. Then he took from under his shirt half a loaf of rye bread and a small bottle half full of red wine. He placed them carefully underneath the bush around which he had tied the rope. Then he left the gorilla sleeping and walked away from the campsite to try to figure out where they were. They were still within the grounds of the Bronx Zoo, that much he knew, for they had not yet come against the high fence that surrounded the zoo. However, it was not his intention to get outside of the zoo, so this did not bother him. He hoped that if the zookeepers missed the gorilla before nightfall, they would think he had been taken out of this area, for that would keep them safe until he got what he wanted from the gorilla, and the gorilla had received the kind of homage he deserved from him. He satisfied himself that he would be able to spot any searchers if they came up the hill after them. There were trees and shrubs and vines and large boulders, and if necessary, and if he could arouse the gorilla, they could move about and lose anyone who came after them. But for the present, he was not worried, for he did not expect the gorilla to be missed until feeding time tomorrow, and by then, everything would be over.